Guys, this is Dr. Callahan for week 13, Thursday of Algebra 2, Semester 2. Go ahead and pause the video and answer the following questions for your warm-up. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with today's stuff, you guys. So what is left of the remaining of the semester? Today we are on the 14th, so that's where you guys are. Everything that's highlighted in green right there are the weeks leading up to the final. Your final week is right there highlighted in yellow. Once they solidify the schedule, I'll let you guys know what that is. Please remind me to give you your report card today before you guys leave. Somebody just remind me before we leave today. I have them. Keep in mind that this is week 13. Next will be week 14. Your safety grade is at 75%. Your final grade is 15% of your grade, and it's just one test. There's no retake, no redos, no test corrections. So if you have a 75% and you fail the final exam, your overall grade will be a 60%, so you can still pass the class. Now, on the other hand, if you're like, well, what if I have a 95% right now? If you have a 95%, you end up failing the final. You just take 95 minus 15, which will give you an 80%. So you'll have a B at the end of the semester. Okay, so that is kind of where we are. We're almost to the end. We have less than 6 weeks left until finals, and that is it, you guys. We're going to be finishing with this unit by tomorrow, and then next week we're going to start a brand new unit, and we're just going to go from there. It's your last unit, and then we are pretty much done for the semester. So last class, which was on Wednesday, if you were not here yesterday, one, you had your assessment on Math Excel. It's 5 questions, so make sure you guys have that finished. And then we also completed this. So if you do not have a copy of this, I have it right here on the block table. You're welcome to grab it. Make sure you watch the video for week 13 Wednesday, because they'll kind of show you exactly what we did that day if you're absent for it. So yesterday we completed this. We went over the different type of expression, and then I had you guys create your own question and then solve it as well. So this was mine. I created this with the purple die and the green die, and then we just went over solving these 4 questions. So this week is week 13. Wednesday was your Math Excel. There are 5 questions here. Your homework is week 13, and there are 10 questions right over here. Or actually, I should say 5 questions here, 10 questions right there. Yeah. All right, so let's take a look at your YouTube channel for this class. I don't think I updated this one yesterday. Let me just check very quickly. So it says you have 59 videos, and I know I had it there, but maybe I didn't upload it correctly. So let me just upload them right now. Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, I do have the video. So week 13 Wednesday is right here. It's now being uploaded. So just gonna give it a second. Next, public. I'm gonna go ahead and publish this. And I'm gonna add it to your playlist of Algebra 2. So let's try that one more time. Make sure it is updated. Yeah, you have 60 videos right there. So if you miss any of the classes from yesterday, week 13, Wednesday is gonna be right here. It says deleted, but it's being uploaded right now. So you guys will have that. All right, so let's go back. Okay, so today we're gonna start the new one on inverse of functions. This is a new topic. We're actually like 1, 2, 3 days behind, but that's okay. I can squeeze this into 2 days. If I need to talk a little bit more about this on Monday, that's fine too. We might just be like a couple of days behind, but I also reserved a few days to like catch up, you know what I mean? So it's not a big deal. So yeah, this is our last section of this unit. And then when we're done with this on Monday, Tuesday of next week, I'm gonna have you guys hand in that teal packet, and I'll give you guys a brand new one. And your new one is gonna be in, I think it's just a white packet. I thought I did some fancy colors, but I really didn't. Just kidding. All right, so with that said, today I'm gonna have you guys come on up. You're gonna go ahead and grab this worksheet right here. And you also need to have highlighter. So grab a highlighter and then grab that worksheet. If you're not here yesterday, I have yesterday's up there as well. So take a moment and do that. So you guys take a look at this right here. Today, we're going to talk about solving and graphing inverse functions. It's your first day. Your activity is that you have your My Guided Notes. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to go ahead and you create the notes for me for next year. So you're going to be doing that. And then I have a slideshow for extra practice that you guys will finish class with. So the materials that you need is just a handout, which you'll turn in, before class ends, and then also the highlighters. Oh, that was from yesterday. Yeah, so if you were here yesterday, you'll need to grab it. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and get started with today's stuff. So let's start off right there, okay, where this is graphing, and then also I'm going to show you guys with one problem. We're going to break it into 4. I'm going to show you the same problem, how you will graph it, how you will go ahead and numerically put it into a chart, how you're going to go ahead and do this algebraically, and then also how it's going to look like verbally. So just with that one question, we're going to do all 4 things. I also should ask you, I'm so sorry, but come on up and grab a TI-84 calculator. You also need a calculator. If you don't have a calculator, you can use one of the scientific ones as well, but it might be a little bit more difficult too because you kind of need this one. Sorry, that was totally my fault. That right here, TI-84. Keep in mind, I didn't teach you guys like the beginning of the semester. And so it's been like literally, I would say over 6 years since I've taught this class. And so I'm like, kind of have to remember how to do this. On your common district final, you are allowed to use a calculator. So if you can do that, you might want to learn where the buttons are so that way you can access it. All right, let's go ahead and get started, you guys. We'll start off with the first 2 on the upper left-hand side. All right, so if you're to graph this, okay, first thing to do with your highlighter is you're going to go ahead and take your highlighter and you're just going to go ahead and draw a line diagonally. Like that. Now think about it. Your equation is x squared plus 2. What shape is x squared plus 2? It's a parabola, isn't it? Okay, so it's going to be a parabola. It's going to start at 2. So I'm going to go up to 2, draw a dot right there. But do you see the restriction here where it says x has to be bigger than 0? So I'm not even going to be focusing on any of the numbers that's smaller than 0. So I'm just going to cross that part out. So then what shape do I have when x is bigger than 0? It's just going to be a smiley face going up like that. But it's more like a half smiley face if you cover the left side of your face. And you want to label that f of x. Now, our key topic today is on inverse, okay? So inverse is going to be f of x, but it's a little bit different. Your inverse is going to be an f to the -1, that's the inverse, of x. And then if you have to draw the inverse of that, you will have to start at x equals 2 right here. So draw a dot right there. And then it'll look something like this. And if you can imagine, you guys, if you fold your paper along that orange line, do you see how the black line and the blue line, they're symmetric? Like you just fold them on top of each other. Do you guys see that? Okay, now let's go over to the numerically. Graph, check, we're done with that, okay? That's what it looks like with inverse. Numerically, we're going to plug in the numbers, okay? And notice that when you plug in the numbers, excuse me, excuse me, you have f of x and f of -1 of x. So with your calculator, this is what I'm going to do, okay? X has to be 0 and bigger, so I'm going to have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When I plug these numbers in, you could just do this in your head if you want. If you go, okay, well, when x equals 0, what's 0 squared plus 2? 0 plus 2 is just 2, right? Well, what if x equals 1? What's 1 squared plus 2? 1 times 1 is 1. 1 plus 2 is going to give me a 3. If you want to keep going with that, that's fine. Or if you want to be like, well, I'm going to be lazy, I'm just using my calculator instead. So turn on your calculator. You're going to go to hit y equals right here. The y equals button is like right here. I'm not sure if you can see that, y equals. Once you hit the y equal button, you're going to type this in. You're going to put x squared plus 2. X squared plus 2. And then what you're going to do is you're going to hit second trace. When you hit the second trace button, do you see where it says value as a number 1? You hit enter. So what this is going to do is that for every value you enter for x, it's going to spit out an answer for y. So if x is equal to 2, you just put 2 right there, hit enter. What is your y? I don't know about you, but it says it's 6, right? Now, you can go ahead and do the same thing. You could either hit second, trace, value, hit 3. When x equals 3, what is y? It's 11. Do the same thing, second, trace. When x is 4, what is y? I believe it gave you 18. So go ahead and try that for all of the numbers of 0 to 6. And make sure you know how to use this function on your calculator. Because the difference between algebra 1 and algebra 2 is that algebra 1, you can't use this calculator. Algebra 2, you can on the final, but you got to know where the buttons are. And so if you don't know where the buttons are, that will be a problem, because then you're going to have to just figure it out yourself on the test. And then fill out that table on the left. Okay, so then your rest of your answer here should look something like this. You should have 3, 6, 11, 18, 27, and 38. If you're just copying it down, that's, fine, but you really need to know how to use this on your calculator so that way you can do this on your own on the test. Okay, so then for the second chart right here, I'm just gonna give you guys the numbers. I'm gonna show you how to use the inverse in your calculator, but not just yet. So you're just gonna copy this part down. So your x, do you see how with the blue line, your x is not at 0. Where does your x start at? It starts at 2, right? So x equals 2, and then you just go up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so then what you're gonna do is to find the graph of this. This is a little weird, so just stay with me here. On your calculator, okay? And you have to go ahead and know where to go with this. So I'm gonna show you guys very quickly. You're gonna go to second, hit the second button. Do you see where it says draw on program? You guys see that? Once you hit the second program button, where does it say inverse, INV? Do you see number 8 right there? Push the A button, and then it says draw INV right there. And what you're gonna do here is you're gonna type in your original equation. So put x squared plus 2. And then hit enter. Do you see how now you have the other inverse right there? Okay, so you can actually find this second calc value, and then type in when x equals 2. And actually, before you do that, I'm going to get rid of the first one. So clear right there. So graph. So clear the first one. So you just have the second graph. Oh no, let's see. Squared plus graph. Second calc. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out why this is not working with me. That's okay. I'll figure it out later, but I'll give you the easy answers for this. From the right side, let's just write down 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'll go back to it and re-explain that part. My calculator is not working as well as I hope it would, but that's okay. We will figure it out. Now you. All right, now I'm going to take a look at the bottom right here versus algebra. Hey, how are you doing? What is your last name here? Go ahead and sign it. That one's not working. Okay, so when we're looking for the inverse of this, this is what we're gonna do. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write it down. So you have y equals x squared plus 2, right? So to find the inverse, first step, you're gonna switch x to y to x, okay? That's your first step. So then what you do is you have y, change it to an x, change it to a y plus 2. That's your first step. Second step, solve for y. Well, I have my y squared right there, so maybe I should subtract the 2. So if I subtract the 2, I have an x minus 2 equals y squared. And then you guys know to get rid of a square, you will have to square root both sides. So y equals square root of x minus 2. Third step, change y to f negative 1 of x. All right, so let's change it. Y becomes f of negative 1 of x equals the square root of x minus 2. Oops. And this right here is your answer. All right, so last one is verbally. How would you go ahead and look at this holistically? Well, it's asking about the range, intercept, x-intercept. So one of the things I know immediately is that I need to look at the graph right there. So look at the table, what it's asking you. Look at the first box on the left with the graph and ask yourself, where's the domain and range for the inverse and also the regular graph? Where is the x and y intercept? Where do I go from there? See if you're able to fill out some of the items there on your own. Got to give it a try, just copying things down after I do it. It's not always the best solution because then you're really not learning how to do it on your own. So give it a second there. Okay, so let's go over this together then. All right, so I just moved my graph down so you can see a little bit better, okay? So function inverse, remember your function is the black graph that looks like this, just so you guys remember what it looks like. This is your function, okay, the black graph right there. Your inverse is gonna be your blue graph like this, okay? So make sure you guys know which one is with which, okay? So let's start off with the function. With the function, the domain is from left to right. Do you see how with a black graph, it just starts at 0 and it goes all the way to positive infinity because it keeps going to the right? So it's just 0 to positive infinity. Range, we're still looking at the black graph, okay? How far does it go up and down? The lowest it goes is to 2, but it keeps going up. So I will put 2 in bracket, then positive infinity. X-intercept. Does it touch anything on the x-axis? I don't know about you, but the black graph, it just touches y equals 2, but it does not touch the x-axis. And the x-axis is this line going left to right. So I just put none. Y-intercept. Does it touch the y-axis? And your y-axis is going to be this green line. Yes, it does. Where does it touch that? At y equals 2. So then you just put 0, 2. And that is your first one. Then I have to take a look at the second one, which is the inverse. Now the inverse, I'm just focusing on the blue graph. So ignore the black graph, just focus on the blue one. For their inverse, what is your domain? How far does it go to the left and to the right? Well, it starts at 2, and then it goes to positive infinity. Now look at the range. On the blue graph, how far does it go up? How far does it go down? It starts at 0, and then it keeps going up. So from 0 to positive infinity. X-intercept. Does it touch anything on the black line? It does. It touches the 2 right there. So that's 2, 0. And then y-intercept is the green line. Does it touch anything on that green line? That blue line doesn't even go anywhere near that green line, so it's just none. And that's like holistically how you will do this, you guys. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back because this thing that was really bothering me about the inverse, because I wasn't able to do on my calculator. I'm gonna try it one more time. So with your calculator, okay, so let's try this one more time. I'm gonna clear all of this and make sure everything here is cleared as well. Clear, clear, clear. All right, so I'm gonna try this one more time and see if it'll work. And if it doesn't work, then we'll just move on. So you hit second, and then you go to program, go down to 8 where it says inverse. I'm gonna type in x squared plus 2, enter. Okay, now it's working. All right, so now do you see I only have one graph? So then what you can do is you hit second, trace, and then you just type in the x values, okay? And what I meant by that is, like, if you guys go back to here, right? If you go ahead and type in when x equals 2, you just type in x equals 2. Oops, second, trace. When x equals 2, oh, why is it not doing that? That's not good. Okay, well, it's not helping. It's not working. That's okay. We'll just move on to the next one. For those of you guys at home on Zoom, we'll figure this out. Don't worry about it. We'll go into the next one. All right, so we're going to be focusing on the upper right-hand side right there. And let's take a look at this one here. How are we going to go ahead and graph this one? All right, so you have a cube root, right? And remember when we talked about transformation, the cube root of this is like a really weird squiggly S-shaped line. Do you guys remember when we drew that? So then if I look at this, it's a -2, so you go down 2. It's a -3 inside, so you go 3 to the right. Do you remember how we did that? So your vertex, which is this pointy part right here, this dot, is going to be at 3, -2. So with your highlighter, you're going to go 3, 1, 2, 3 to the right, 1, 2 down. And there's your dot. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my weird little squiggly line. So it's going to look something like this. And I'm not an art person, so if mine looks really bad, don't judge it too hard. Like, it is what it is. Okay, so then if you draw the inverse, now this one is f of x. So label it as f of x. Now, to find the inverse of this graph, remember you have to draw this orange line diagonally. So with your highlighter, draw that orange line. How can I draw that blue line? So when I fold the orange line, it's going to be like it's a handprint, like it's symmetrical. I know that's a little bit hard to imagine. I get it. Maybe start off with your vertex. If your vertex with the blue line is going to be at 3, -2, the vertex for your inverse is going to be same thing, but you just have to flip it, okay? So it's going to be at -2, +3. So this point here is -2, +3. Do you see how I just like flipped it and I changed the sign? And then if you can, try to draw a weird squiggly line through that point. But do you see if I fold it over that orange line, they're symmetric, right? They're like a hand of a hand. They're exactly the same. And you label that red line f of -1 of x. That's your inverse. Okay, so then let's go over to the numerical part of this. Oh, right here. Okay, so with your calculator, because I don't really want to plug this in, it's going to take me a long time. So I'm going to go ahead and be lazy and just use my calculator. So with my values right here, with my x values, I'm going to start my x values at, if you can see where your blue line is going, I'm going to start it over at -5, and I'm just simply just making some, because my blue line is going all the way to the negative. So x is -5, and then you could try maybe -2, 0, 2, 3, 4, and 8. That's a pretty good representation of the entire blue line, okay? If you want to take a look at the red line, you're like, okay, where's my red line really going in terms of the x values? I don't know about you, but it looks like my red line is not going past -4 on the x. You know what I mean? Like here's -4, it's not even going past that. So I'm just gonna put -4 because that's as far as it goes. Then maybe -3.7, -3.4, -3, -2, -1, and 0. Because my red line also doesn't go past 0. So those are the points I'm going to pick. And you want to make sure you write those down so you have it. So now let's find the y values. So let's go back to the blue graph. So with the blue graph, you're going to go to your calculator, turn it on, go to y equals, because you're going to plot that so you can find the values there, okay? For the cube root, you want to hit math. And do you see where the cube root is? Number 3 is a cube, but what do you see for number 4? You got the cube root. And this is what I'm talking about when I say you got to know where the buttons are for your calculators, because if you don't know where it is, then you can't really do this on the task. So then let's type in x minus 3. Move the little right arrow button right here so that way you're no longer touching the square root. And then put a -2. That -2 has to be outside of the square root or the cube root. And then hit graph. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit second, trace. And you have your values right there. So hit enter for values. And there you go. This is x equals. Well, what do you want x equal to be? X equals -5. So hit negative, not minus, -5, and then hit enter. And it tells you that it equals a -4. And you want to keep doing that for all of the x values for that blue line. So go ahead and practice with it. Just second, trace. Type in your -2, which is your next value. And your y is -3.71. And then keep doing that until you fill out that chart. All right, so for those of you guys on this, go ahead and take a look at my answers for that. You can go ahead and copy it down. Now for your inverse, for sake of time, I'm just gonna go ahead and give you guys the answer so you can copy that down as well. And here is your inverse right there. And the last number is an 8. Yeah, just sign out. Okay, so now that we're done with those two, we're going to go ahead and do this algebraically. So the bottom. All right, so for the algebra part of this, what we're going to do is we're going to do y is equal to the cube root of x minus 3 minus 2. Remember your first step, we're going to switch the x and the y's. So y becomes x becomes y, like that. And then what was your second step? Solve for y, right? So to solve for y, I got to get rid of that -2. So opposite of a -2 is a +2. And then I want to get rid of that cube root. So how do I get rid of that cube root? Opposite of a cube root is a cube. And when I cube root it, the cube root and the cube cancels, and I have y minus 3 equals x plus 2 to the third. Last step. Add the 3 on both sides, and you get x plus 2 to the third plus 3. But then remember how you change that y to f of -1 to the x. This is how you find your inverse algebraically. One more, you guys, and then we're done with our notes. Next one to look at is verbally. How do you go about, finishing that graph or the chart with the pictures that you just drew? What is your domain? What is your x and y intercept? All right, so let's go and take a look at that. Okay, so your function, your domain for the function is the blue line. So with the blue line, your domain, it looks like it's going left and right. So -infinity to +infinity. Range is how far up does it go? Well, it's going to keep going higher up and lower down. So -infinity to +infinity. Does this line ever touch the x-axis? It will. You can't see it, but it's 11, 0. I'm just going to write it down for you guys. And where does this graph touch the y-intercept, like the y-axis? It's between 2 and -4. Do you guys see that? With your calculator, it'll tell you specifically it's at -3.4. But for sake of time, I'm just going to give that to you guys. Now, the inverse is your red graph, okay? So your red graph, domain, same thing. Range, same thing. Now, what you do for this is these two boxes are going to be opposite of the yellow boxes, okay? Opposite. So specifically, what's going to change is that 11, 0 is just going to become 0, 11. And then 0, -3.4, you guessed it, it's -3.40. And you just flip it. And that's it. All right, so now that we're done with this, I'm going to have you guys take a look over on the left side right here. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to have you guys take a look on the right side, right there, on the notes. Do you see on the back of it where it says notes? Yeah. Use that QR code and then go through the slides one more time because it's going to tell you guys how to review this. And then just jot down your examples here, okay? Hi, how are you guys doing? Alexa. I'm sure you went up to the main office. All right, you guys, go ahead and do that. There's a QR code right there. You have the QR code on your paper as well, and just make sure that part is filled out. I know this was a lot of information, you guys, but I feel like you guys are smart group of kids and you are totally able to do this. We'll just practice more with it tomorrow and Monday. You guys have about 4 or 5 more minutes left, and then I'm gonna have you guys just turn that in. But while you guys are doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you your report card. Just call your name. So Anthony, Javel, Jessica, Alexander, Christian Maria, Nella Shanti, Juan, you have 2 by the way, Sasha, and Alonso. Right on this table. If I call your name after this, I'll able to stand up. Sergio, we have 2. Melanie, we have 2. Marley, Leslie, Allison, Alexa, you have 2. Mary Ellie, you have 2 as well. Daisy, Lupe, Savannah, you have 2. And then we'll move over to the third table. Sorry, guys. Nicola, Amy, Pichu, Espinosa, Nico Espinosa, Isabella, Javier, Jared, and Paloma. If it's not yours, please don't take it so I can give it to the right person. I don't know why anybody else would want anybody else's, report card, but it's happened before. You guys have 2 more minutes left, so if you're completely done with what you're doing, if you're not, you can go ahead and take it home and finish it. But if you are completed, you can turn that in and then just give me my highlighters and the TI-80 for that. Have a great week, you guys. If you're ready to turn your stuff in, make sure you guys turn that in.